Peace and Black Power family. It's your Harlem educator, author, and activist, Brother Agyei Tyehimba. I'm filming live in Harlem, USA. We're going to do a few quick things before we get into the vegetables of the show. I want to do a little promotion to talk about why you should be subscribing to Harlem Liberation School and to tell you about Harlem Liberation School. So here we go. Peace and Black Power family. It's your Harlem educator, author, and activist, the Black Liberation Coach, Brother Agyei Tyehimba. I just want to take a few moments to welcome you to Harlem Liberation School's YouTube channel. Harlem Liberation School was started in 2016 by myself and my queen, and we basically saw that there was a lack of foundational Black political education going on in Harlem. We're not going to get up from under white supremacy without knowing how oppression works, how it affects and impacts in our community, the ways in which we internalize our own oppression and engage in self-defeating behavior and thinking, and our socio-political movements and our very important individuals and organizations throughout our history who played a leading role in fighting against and resisting and disrupting white supremacy. So Harlem Liberation School was founded as a Black political education center for adults. Because education is not just relegated to children. Adults need education. It's those of us adults who maybe when we were kids did not get that foundational Africana studies of Black political education. The things we need to know to be free and to fight effectively for our liberation. And so that's what we're here to do. We hope that you will come through, check us out, look at our videos, like them, comment on them, and share them. Peace and Black Power. So, welcome back, family. I want to definitely welcome you to Harlem Liberation School's presence online via YouTube. We want to encourage you to share this particular broadcast. Share the link so other people can join us, commune, and fellowship with us. And also to press the subscribe button if you have not already. As you probably know, today is the first day of Kwanzaa, kind of a first fruits festival or harvest celebration festival that Dr. Molan Karenga, through his US organization, created in 1966. So, whereas there was no such celebration as Kwanzaa in ancient Africa, he takes the celebration of Kwanzaa from very foundational, fundamental ancient African harvest celebrations. And we know that it comes from an entire theory called Kawaida theory, which if you ever have a chance to look at that, you really should look and read his whole theory on Kawaida. US was a cultural nationalist organization, and a cultural Black nationalist organization believes that our fundamental fight and challenge and answer revolves around the degree to which we can challenge the oppressive culture of Europeans, in this case, and the degree to which we can replace their culture, displace their culture with our own. And by culture, we do not simply mean who's wearing the best mudcloth dashiki. We mean, or who speaks how many African languages. We're talking about your ability to understand the problems and the challenges our people face, the beauty and the strength that our people possess, and to create value system of priorities and practices and habits that will point our people in a progressive, healthy, productive, empowering sort of a place and direction. You know, the type of place that your ancestors, your grandparents, and their grandparents would be proud of, so to speak. That's what we mean by culture. And cultural nationalists see culture as the critical threshold that we must understand and we must conquer. That without aligning ourselves with strong and empowering values and practices and priorities, anything else we do will eventually go backwards. And I agree with them. And I think if you are honest and you look in your community, in your families, and you look through your neighborhood, if you grew up in this neighborhood, you look and see what were the values being pushed? What were the values being spoken about highly, but what were the values that were practiced and that were applauded and that were celebrated? Then you'll see what I mean, family. We have to get to a point where what we say we want is parallel to how we conduct ourselves and our views and values. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. So that's what the importance of Kwanzaa is. And the first day of Kwanzaa, because it's 7 days, represented by 7 candles. And the first candle that you light is the Umoja candle. It's the candle directly in the middle. It's the black candle. Let me see if I can go. Be great if I can show you all. Hold on one second. Now we're going to see if we can show so that we have kind of a visual. And I'm going to try to bring that up now. I'm going to show you the official website. There's a billion different websites, family, you can go to online and learn about Kwanzaa, but this is the website that is produced by Dr. Maulana Karenga's organization, US. It is the official. You're getting it from the source, and so it's the website I like to go to for anything that has to do with Kwanzaa or the US organization. So it's the official Kwanzaa website, and you can find it at officialkwanzaawebsite.org. And when you come here, this is what you'll see when you come to the first page. And if you look at that picture, you'll see the 7 candles, 3 red on the left, black candle in the middle. That's the first candle, Umoja, the principle we celebrate today on the first day of Kwanzaa. Then we see the green candles on the right, right? So today we're talking about Umoja, and in talking about Umoja, we're talking about unity. Rather than just tell you kind of what I think about unity, what I'd like to do is read from what Dr. Karenga wrote about it, right? And what he says, let me take off this the shared screen for a minute. What Dr. Karenga says about unity is profound. I'm going to read this statement to you, and then we're going to talk about it. Again, you can go to https officialkwanzaawebsite.org. Umoja, unity, is the first and foundational principle of the Nguzo Saba. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this. So while I'm reading it, you will see it. I think that might be a wise thing to do. Hold on one second. I'm going to see if we can bring it up. Okay, you should be able to see that. Umoja, unity, is the first and foundational principle of the Nguzo Saba. For without it, all the other principles suffer. Unity is both a principle and practice of togetherness in all things, good and of mutual benefit. It is a principled and harmonious togetherness, not simply being together. This is why value rootedness is so important, even indispensable. Unity as principled and harmonious togetherness is a cardinal virtue of both classical and general African societies. In ancient Egypt, harmony was a cardinal virtue of Mayat, for example, righteousness or rightness. In fact, one of the ways to translate Mayat is to define it as harmony on the natural, cosmic, and social level. Likewise, Sieng among the Dinka means both morality and harmonious living together. Thus, in both ancient Egyptian and Dinka society, one cannot live a moral life without living in harmony with other members of the community. If unity is in essence a principle, it is no less a practice, as are all the other principles. Principle, theory, and practice, action. For practice is central to African ethics, and all claims to ethical living and commitment to moral principles are tested and proved or disproved in relations with others. Relations, then, are the hinge on which morality turns, the ground on which it rises or falls. In this regard, we can refer back to the discussion on character development through ethical instruction. Character development is not simply to create a good person abstracted from community, but rather a person in positive interaction. A person whose quality of relations with others is defined, first of all, by a principled and harmonious togetherness, a real and practiced unity. Another way of discussing unity is to see it as active solidarity. This essentially means a firm, dependable togetherness that is born, based, and sustained in action. It is usually applied to groups, organizations, classes, people, and expresses itself as building and acting together in mutual benefit. The key here is, again, practice. In the end, practice proves everything. No matter how many books one reads on swimming, sooner or later, she or he must get into the water and swim, right? I want to stop there. I think we are all clear now, at least on what Dr. Maulana Karenga and the US organization meant by unity and Umoja. That it's not simply, we come together once a year, 3 times a year. That unity is a theory that we practice, and that there are certain values that these people coming together share. It's not simply coming a bunch of people together in one room, because as you know, those of you who went off to college, you went off to colleges, and you was in classrooms with all types of people, and you all didn't share values and interests, correct? So that technically is not considered unity. Unity is intentional, in other words. It's not accidental. You stumble into something, oh, wow, we all know. It's intentional. We're going to create a program, a class, a family, an organizational community where people share certain values, and we're going to reward and incentivize certain values. We're going to enforce in some way certain values. We're going to teach and cultivate certain values, right? Okay. Now, I do think it's important, and this is not going to be a really long broadcast. Matter of fact, before I go into it, I see comments. So let's get into these comments. Okay, who we see? Who do we see here? I see, oh man, we got some beautiful Africans, man, are here. We got Brother Gregory Jones. He says Umoja, right? And we have Umoja back to Brother Gregory Jones. Sister Yara Coburn in the building, coming up to us from the West Coast. How you doing, Sister Yara? And she greets us with the official greeting of Kwanzaa. Habari gani is what you would say to somebody on each of the 7 days of Kwanzaa. Habari gani is a question. It's saying, what's the news? What's good? What it be? What's up? And in response, you answer with that day's Kwanzaa principle. So you would say Habari gani, and somebody would say Umoja Habari gani, right? So Habari gani to Sister Yara. We have a number of people, root trackers by Yara. Okay, very good. That may be another page that Sister Yara has. Sister Mila Renee in the building. She says, power and peace. Happy Kwanzaa, Baba. Happy Kwanzaa to you, my sister. Hope you and your family are well. Uh-oh, we got the queen bee. That's my queen, that is. Sister Brenda Hilaire. She says, Habari gani Umoja. Very good. We have Sister Sheila S. is in the building saying Habari gani Umoja to the family. Who else? We got a number of people. We have, again, the queen. Sister Brenda says, welcome to Harlem Liberation School. If this is your first time joining us, please click the like button and subscribe. If you're returning, we appreciate your ongoing support, and that is right and exact right there. And I thank the queen for being supportive and for her own work that she is launching in the community to help some of our most vulnerable populations. Perhaps she can, if she has time, type the link to her GoFundMe or the link to her website. She could type into this particular broadcast so we all can support her in the important work that she's doing. Got Devon in the building. It says Umoja, race first for Maryland. Yes, sir. It's race first all day, every day. Peace, beloved brother Agyei. Thank you. Peace right back to you. And then the queen says, greetings to me, her love. That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. Because at the root of this is all love, family. This is why, hopefully, we're doing the work we do. Not out of bitterness against white folk. Not out of trying to be better than competing with white folk. Or this is out of love for your people we do this work. That love will sustain us. Because this is not a sprint. It is, in fact, a marathon. And you're going to have a lot of endurance. Because our people will make you want to choke them out sometimes, family. If we could be real, they will make you want to go upside their head. So you have to come with that love that will keep you coming back, even when you don't feel like it, even when somebody said something to you sideways and you didn't appreciate it. It'll keep you saying, well, I know how they were taught. I know how they were conditioned. I know why they act the way they act. And I'm going to try to get underneath all that and teach them right so we can get our people on the right track, right? It's very important we remember that. All right, I want to thank you all. I want to say this. I want to put a few things to go to kind of scroll underneath as we talk, reminding you to subscribe to the channel. Want to make sure that you know what we're talking about. Understanding Kwanzaa, we're talking about Umoja. And I want to make sure for those of you who want more information, someone asked me on the show yesterday, well, brother, could you break down how we celebrate Kwanzaa? And I just didn't have the time because that wasn't what I was talking about during that particular episode. But if you go to this site, which I just showed you earlier, all your questions will be answered because it's coming from the brother who actually created Kwanzaa. And you're not going to get no better than that, right? And of course, family, if you want to support the nation building work going on here, you can certainly cash app $TrueSelf143. We're going to leave these things on intermittently throughout the show so you can kind of stay abreast of what we're doing. What I'd like to do, though, is talk now about kind of complicating this idea of unity, kind of giving it nuance. And I think the first thing I want to say is that, at least in my humble opinion, it is impractical to expect complete 100% unity among Black people, family. And until you resolve that, until you come to that position, it's going to cause you a lot of unnecessary stress and grief. What do I mean? Well, look at any social movement in our history, in any people's history, right? Whether you're looking at the Bolshevik movement in Russia or what became the Soviet Union, whether you're looking at civil rights movement, Black Power movement, abolitionist movement, whatever movement, the people never had it was never 100% of those people who are oppressed fighting actively in that movement. It just doesn't happen. Why? Because people are human and they have the right to decide, to make their own decisions and to choose their own approaches to being free. We also know that in these revolutionary movements, there are some people of the oppressed class who don't necessarily want to be free in the way that the revolutionaries are deciding we should be free. So you always have a group called loyalists, right? In the American Revolution, amongst the white folks, there were 13 colonies. They wanted to fight against Britain, who was oppressing them. Britain was the most powerful empire in the world. They wanted their own freedom. But guess what? It wasn't just George Washington and was John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. The Patriots, they were loyalists. They were colonists who didn't want no part of the Revolutionary War. They didn't want to fight. They didn't want to be free from Britain. Never forget, there's some members of the oppressed group that are perfectly comfortable where they are. And where we might disagree with them and we might want to debate them and go after them, the truth of the matter is they have the right to choose, family. We're not here to be beating nobody over the head and forcing nobody to come with us on our ideological journey. That's not our job, to be out here proselytizing and forcing people. Our job is to teach, let the facts speak for themselves. And if the people want better, if they want independent sovereignty and nationhood, they want self-determination, they want to have their own schools and military and governing structure, then we have something for them to come into and be a part of. And if they don't, that's their choice. So that I want to say that it is impractical to expect every Black person that you give that leaflet to, that flyer to, you send that social media information to expect they're going to come to your meeting. That's not happening. It has never happened. Malcolm couldn't even achieve that. Garvey didn't even achieve that. Elijah Muhammad didn't achieve that, because Black people always reserve the right to choose. And people have different politics, different political interests. So remember that. Save yourself the trouble. I suggest instead that we focus on unity among Black people with similar values and similar interests. That is to say, if you are advocating for us to stop using and or selling illegal narcotics in our cities, you got one natural enemy amongst your people. Who's that? Two people, two groups: drug users and drug dealers. They're not agreeing with that, family. That's not happening. So what you do is you work with the group in your community that's against that, that shares your value. We don't want cocaine and crack and heroin and fentanyl and all this stuff in all these opiates in our neighborhood. It's driving our people crazy. It's making us waste our money. It's breaking up families and relationships. We got to go. So you organize with that group of people. I hope I'm making sense. You don't waste your time trying to deal with people who are dead set against you. Now, what happens is this is organic community organizing. You respect people's right to choose. You don't try to force somebody. This ain't no white man's crusade where they come in with guns, put it to your head, say that you believe in Jesus or we kill you. No, we're not going the white man's way. Our people have a choice even if we disagree. We use education to try to persuade people to see this man, you need to divorce him. The white man got to go. You got to divorce him. He is a slumlord. He is a domestic abuser. He's a sexual assaulter. He's everything that we don't want. But ultimately, just like the victim of domestic abuse family, the brother or sister you talking to has to make the decision for themselves. You could preach till you blue in the face. I don't support that. Instead, there's a whole lot of black people who are with you on that. They agree. You don't have to spend all your life getting stressed out and, trying to, they there. They need some cultivation. They want to know more. They want to know how they can help. And you, hopefully, as the organizer, are creating venues and structures and projects that they can meaningfully join. That's how I think is the more healthy and progressive way to organize. Not trying to beat people over the head. Not trying to shame people who disagree. They have the right to disagree. Let them go their way. No problem. I also think that we have to be mature enough to understand that sometimes when we're organizing, family, we have to, by necessity, work with some black people with whom we disagree. There's no way around it, right? So I'm going to use an analogy of sports. Take the NFL, right? The NFL has all these different teams, and these teams are in competition with each other. Even teams in the same league, they're competing with each other to get to the Super Bowl to be the champs. So you would think they have nothing in common. But they have a players union, though, right? They have a players union. So even though they're competitors on Sundays and on Mondays, they have this entity that is there to bargain for their rights, to bargain for fair pay, to bargain for whatever they have to bargain for as employees, so to speak, right? So on that level, they have to have unity, even though they're all different teams that are competitive with each other. We see this in our street organizations that we call gangs, constant appeals for truces. Not trying to say you can't be in your set or your organization. We recognize your set and we recognize your choice to be in it. What we saying is we got to have a thug life code. Hats off to Brother Matulu Shakur, who is now home, who is the co-writer of Thug Life Code, along with the late, great Tupac Shakur. Thug Life. It was a code that they disseminated around prisons. And it had a code. We don't gangbang in our neighborhoods. We don't sell to children. We don't pregnant mothers. They had a code. In other words, they realized we're not going to stop gang activity, so to speak. But what we could do is try to give it some sense of structure and try to conduct it in a way that's the least negatively impacting on our community. Whatever you think about them, that's what they were trying to do, right? So they recognize the existence of other groups. They're not trying to say you can't be in this group, you got to join mine, but they're trying to give it some structure. In other words, we can be separate in some things, but we can unify around others. So in the Black community, some of the things that unify us would be our feelings about innocent teens getting killed by police officers and race soldiers, women that are being publicly humiliated and assaulted in restaurants all over this country, at gas stations and malls, pulled out of places, being just treated immorally and unethically. Some of us don't like the so-called Karens or the white women, who are perfect examples of white fragility, who, for whatever reason, are calling police against Black men and Black women when they're really not in any real danger, and setting us up to be accosted by the white man's military force in cities called the police department. So we can all unify around those things. We want communities that are safe, not only physically but in terms of chemically safe, not having all these pollutants in the air and dirty water, right? Sewage in our water system. These are things around which we can unite, even though some of us fighting for those things might be in the church every Sunday praying to Jesus. Some might be praying to Allah. Some might be going the way of the Buddha, right? And some might be practicing what we call an indigenous African faith system or religious system. But yet, we're not saying they got to stop what they're praying and who they're praying to. We're not even critiquing their religious system. But we're saying, with respect to police brutality and poisoned water and drugs in our community and these miseducating schools that are more like lobotomy camps, we need to unify around those things. So one thing about unity in Umoja, when we celebrate this in Kwanzaa, don't just get caught up in we wearing the African clothes and going to celebrate Kwanzaa. I want you to have real discussions with people. Say, how do we unify in ways that are real and tangible and lead to change, not cosmetic unity. You know, groups would tell, oh, we had 500 people. I mean, okay, that's good. Of the 500 people, what did you accomplish beyond people at the meeting? What are we doing with those 500? Do we getting petitions signed? They donating money for a project we're doing? What's happening with those 500 people, right? That's what we want to get to. How do we use this unity concept to push our people in one direction to get something done for our people? And secondly, how do we do it in a way that's humane, without shaming our people, without blaming them, without beating them up, calling them dumb and ignorant? How do we do that in a way that they feel honor, that they feel they're part of something real and beautiful that they are part of, and they want to get other community members and family members to be a part of? All of these are questions that have to be raised when we talk about Kwanzaa. Let me pause. I think we have some more comments, and let's see what we got. Okay, yes, Gregory Jones, yes, that's right. Raise soldiers in blue, the cops. Queen B says, yes, get together despite our differences. And Christina in the building, peace, my sister. I hope you're well. She says through an administrative branch. So she's giving some actual solution, the way that we can get to some of the things I'm saying. Queen B is telling me to teach. Thanks, babe. And El Christina says transformational life coaching with her, right? So sure, that could be one of the ways that we get a unity that's functional. We want, in other words, I'm saying we have to move from cosmetic unity to functional unity, from transactional unity to functional unity, where we come together around a particular principle, project, or initiative, and we're getting something done on behalf of the people that puts us in a better place, right? Because, you know, for instance, unity in voting, particularly in local elections, can be a real thing. We can get a voters block of Black people to get a certain type of candidate in a particular local race that might actually win. And with our support and our funding, might actually be able to create some levels of reform and change. So this is what we're talking about. A, be practical with the unity. Don't expect every single black person to be down with you. And don't be mad at them if they're not. It's okay. Because if I can be real, in our own families, and we got to be honest, family, in our own families, we have people we wouldn't leave our money around, our children around, our spouses around, if we can be honest in our own family. So if that's the way it is in our own family, what do you think it is in the larger community? People have the right to choose. Always give black people the right to agree or disagree with you, the right to join your organization or not. And don't try to make them feel ashamed if they didn't. You're not the only game in town, and it's okay. It's all right. Let people know that there's no pressure. Like my brothers, when I talk to the young students I may have in my life, and I tell them, you don't pressure women, brother. She will let you know if she digs you. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be hounding her. She'll let you know if she digs your company. You just be a good brother in her presence, and it'll be known. And if she don't, it's okay, because there's other young ladies that will. But don't pressure young ladies. Don't pressure people into decisions, because the decisions they make will be compromised. If you pressure them into it, you'll never know if they did that willingly or if they did it because of your pressure. We don't want people with us because they had a gun in their mouth, family. We want people with us because they fundamentally agree with the principles we represent. You don't want fake people. You want real people with you. Because when that ish hits the fan, that money got to be raised, and it's time to do that hard work, and the society is making it seem through their media that you're crazy and what you're doing is whack, you're going to need people that are soldiers for you. And the only way you get soldiers is to get people who fundamentally believe in the purpose, the objectives, the mission, and the vision of your organization and movement. Very important. At this point, I want to leave a little time to see if anybody has anything they want to add on. I might actually invite you, hold on, to join me in the studio for a few minutes to see if you have any important announcements, any things you'd like to share, and actually join me in the studio. I've put the link up, I think, right here. So if you see that link, you can come right in the studio, give you a few minutes. Now, family, I'm going to tell you. I have to tell you out of transparency. If you come in here talking some nonsense, I'm going to take you out the studio. Obviously. We come with respect to add on to the discussion. Tell us about an important event for black people you got going on. Please feel free to join us for a few minutes and do that. Right? That's the link right there. You can come right in the studio if you like. Also, and maybe I'll put that as a... Maybe I should do that in a different way. I'll leave that up for a minute. We have Brother K.M. Mpanza. I know this brother from Facebook. Says, peace. The Nation of Islam has protocols and policies that every member is advised to, or there are consequences. Also a solid 10-point plan. Do you think we should have a Pan-Africanist agenda and plan? And so I'm going to put that up. It's a very good question. I think everybody could see that. Let me take this off so we have more room for it. Yeah. I think if anyone has my book, it's a book on leadership that I do think we should get into. It's called Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice. And one of the things I'm very clear on in my book on leadership is that we have to have protocol. You have to have protocol. In fact, you show me a household, relationship, organizational community that doesn't have protocol, and I'll show you one that is losing. You got to have protocol. You have to have order and structure, right? If you don't have protocol, you have no order and structure. People can do whatever they want. There's no consequence. People can say, oh, no, I'm going to get it together, and never get it together, and they never get addressed. People doing work consistently really well all the time, and they never get rewarded. Everyone is treated the exact same, whether they're doing well or mucking up. That's what happens when you have no protocol. So the first answer is KM. We absolutely need a protocol, and we absolutely need a plan. And I don't want, this is the book I'm talking about, my latest book that I wrote, Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice. You can get it on Amazon, or if you're the type that wants it from me personally and signed, you got to hit me up in an email and we'll work it out. I don't want people to confuse me saying don't force people into a decision with don't have protocol. Once people say, yes, we believe in you, we're down with you, we want to work together, you must have a protocol to make sure that things move smoothly. Protocol creates safety. What do I mean? When people come to your house party, they know nobody's getting shot, nobody's going to be fighting, nobody's going to get robbed, their coat taken and their valuables, because you got protocol in your joint. People know you got security. You telling you got a place you put people's coats, you lock it. Ain't nobody come. Ain't no young lady's gonna be sexually assaulted in your party because you got stuff in place. So people come to your place and they relax. They have fun. They know that they are what? Safe. Protocol creates safety. Things that are done, it creates a sense of predictability. People can rely on your protocol. But when you don't have it, chaos, family. Trust me on this. I know we have a problem with Black authority, but trust me on this, family. These are things I do know about. So yes, we want to make sure at all times that we have protocol, and we have to have a plan. But remember, the plan only applies to the people who've agreed that they are part of your formation. So I have a good brother named Moon. He's in Houston, Texas. He founded Anubis, which is a Black militia. Right? So when he's at his Anubis meetings, they have the right to say, brother, you late, you got to give us 20 laps. Sister, you late, you got to give us 50 push-ups. Because they're in the formation. They can't say that to me, though. I didn't sign up with Anubis. So we have to remember that if people are in our formation willingly, then yes, that means they also willingly agree to follow the plan or protocol we have. Right? And I should also say a protocol is there for a reason. We don't just put it there to put it there. It has to be, the protocol is created for a specific reason to address a specific issue or create a specific situational reality. But yes, brother, I'm with you on that. I hope I answered your question, man. And yes, root tracker, that's right. Unity, it connects to order. But remember, unity has to, even people who agree on things have differences of how things should be done, have different understandings of being on time, right? Have different strengths and challenges, and those things come to the fore when you're organizing in a community. So you do have to have protocol, family. There's no way around it. And I know some people say, oh, that's the white man. No, it is not. We give the white man way too much credit. Everything that's good is the white man. Everything that's orderly is the white man. Everything that's intelligent is the white. Reading is the white man. No. Do understand that when this man wasn't even on the planet yet, and our people were the only people on this planet, we had protocol, family. Stop giving white people all the credit. We the only people that, no, we not. If something is part of humanity and it's negative, that means all human beings participated in it. If something is part of humanity and it's beautiful, it means all human beings participate in it. Or at least, I should say, representatives of all human beings. So remember, there's certain things we need. We need caves to most of us anyway, true indeed. We need unity, but that unity needs structure. It needs it, family. And I might say also, when we say protocol and structure with unity, this means we're letting people know what's expected. At Harlem Liberation School, when we have our physical Harlem Liberation School in a brick and mortar building, we tell people, here we can debate. You can disagree with people. You can disagree with what I'm saying. You disagree with what my queen's saying. You can disagree with anybody. But we do that here in a loving way. We're not attacking nobody. We're not shaming nobody. We're not calling people out their name. And if anyone, and it's also written that if anyone in here does that, we're going to kindly escort your ass out the building. That's protocol. Notice, it's loving, it comes from a good space, but it has an enforcement policy. There's teeth to that. So we don't just say that and let you come in there and just curse and accost people and be insulting. If that happens, we give a warning. If that's not responded to, we're going to take you out the building. That's what we're talking about. Our people need to know that we come from love and respect, and we're there to serve them, create a culture of love and service is what I say in the book. You're not going to move black people if they don't believe you care about them. And you're not going to move black people if you ain't doing nothing for them. You got to be serving them. But when you do those two things, I find that black people will rock with you. But they want to know that if people are out of pocket, they're going to get addressed. You can't let people steal your money from your organization. Oh, well, you know, the person needed it. No, there has to be protocol, family. You have to have that, right? Okay. Even your body got protocol. They call it an immune system, by the way. It has a protocol. It don't just because your body loves everybody. It lets coronavirus in and doesn't try to attack it. The common cold virus, it just doesn't lets it in, doesn't try to attack it. Right? Oh, wow. Thank you, Sister Sheila. Oh, that's okay. I know who this is. Since she's using this book for a small organization in Germany. Thank you for that. That's all right. And I'm going to use this, Sister Sheila, for a shameless plug. Be like Sister Sheila. Don't just read the book yourself. Use it. Like, really use this. This could help. It's a tool. And I'm not saying I know it all and I got it all figured out. But I'm saying it might help people. Might help other people. Right? Okay. And there's the queen shouting out. She's over here laughing. I don't know what she's laughing about, but something got her tickled over there. But I want to thank you, Sister Sheila, for using the book. I appreciate that. Definitely. So family, that's what I'm saying. Umoja, unity. Right? We define unity according to Dr. Maulana Karenga. Oh, she's laughing at my shameless plug. Yes. Right? We defined it according to Dr. Maulana Karenga, and I gave it a little bit of nuance to say it. And I want to end with this. It is not a good thing to be non-discerning, non-discriminating. Oh, anybody that's black, come on in, we love you. Oh, you have to be discerning, right? Just because somebody is your skin folk, that don't make them your kinfolk, family. Remember that. Because if that were the case, there wouldn't be any Eugene Roberts, who was giving Malcolm mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, supposedly, when he got assassinated in the Audubon Ballroom in 1965. He was an agent of the police department in New York City, infiltrated the organization that Malcolm started. If it was all about melanin, then Garvey wouldn't have had FBI agents who were black sent to the UNIA to frame him on this charge of using the mail to defraud people with the Black Star shipping line. So do understand, just because people got melanin doesn't mean that they're down with the struggle and cause. So we do have to be willing to understand there are black people who are not for what our, let's say, our organization or our movement is for, right? So remember that. And also, yes, to the queen, some of our kinfolk are not righteous. We're talking about character, right? Character issues here. So just remember that. I want to go back. I want to see if I can go back very quickly just to show you something, because I know some of you are trying to practice Kwanzaa and like really like make it something new in your life, a new practice in your life. And I just want to direct you to really one of the best sources. You can see the address up here. I think you see the cursor, right? This is the address. I could put it back on the screen, but it has everything. It has all the Nguzo Saba, right? It has all the 7 principles. Each principle has a breakdown. So tomorrow's principle, tomorrow you will say Habaragani, and you'll reply Kuji Chagalia, self-determination. That's the good news. That's what's up, right? And that has its whole breakdown. You can go here, and then it has more. See the breakdown? You could read more. It has a whole breakdown. Identity, cultural groundedness. So if you want to know more, I would say this is the site to go to. I'm also going to try to get my good brother and dear friend for many years, one of our experts on the US organization and cultural nationalists, and also one of our experts on Africana studies and the history of funk music, his brother Dr. Scott Brown. We're going to try to get him on to give us some clarity too on some things pertaining to the US organization and to Kwanzaa. All right. So I want to thank you all for joining. I want to please encourage you, please press the subscribe button, family. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're trying to do big things. We're going to do big things in this upcoming year, because I think we got to step up our efforts. I'm going to step up my efforts, and I'm calling on all of us to see where we are and see where we can do better, see what we're producing and see how we can produce a little bit more, right? For ourselves, our families, first, and for our people. It's very important. With that said, thank you all for joining. I'm going to see if I can maybe just throw this on for people. That link on the bottom for more Kwanzaa information. Remember, tomorrow's Kuji Chagalia, self-determination. And you can go to that site and you can see the principle for every day. It'll teach you how to celebrate Kwanzaa, all of that. Of course, we want to just remind you, if you want to support the cause, that's how you can do that. And we want to remind you, family, to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for joining. It's time for us to go. Have a beautiful evening. Have a beautiful week. Have fun. Learn something. Help somebody and be safe while you're doing it. And remember, family, we have the right to be free and liberated. We deserve to be free and liberated. And if we work together in unity around values and interests, and we believe in ourselves, we can and will be liberated and be free, right? Somebody says, happy Kwanzaa to me. Happy Kwanzaa back to you. I can't see who you are. I know you're on Facebook. And the Queen is also bidding you all a good night, family. And I will say ditto. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. Peace and Black Power. We will win.